Hello, my name is Joshua Altor, and I'm here to talk to you about blacks of Mexico. Many people don't believe that there's blacks in Mexico because most people are used to seeing indigenous, white-ish, Spanish, indigenous people. Basically, they all think that we all use a lot of hair gel, spike up our hair, very brown skin tone. Well, that's not everyone. That's a majority, but not everyone. For example, me. Well, you can see I'm pretty white, and I'm Mexican. I wasn't born there, but both of my parents were. I'm Mexican American. That's why I speak English so properly and well. My my point is, like almost all Latin America, almost like the whole Western Hemisphere, slaves are brought to do labor. They were brought here to work the fields, cotton, basically, well, yeah, you say this, work cotton, do labor, hard labor, basically farming, because they weren't very developed at that time. They were one of the undeveloped, because if it would have been the other way around, I don't think, whatever. My point is, there are many blacks in Mexico. There's this, they're all on the western coast, on Veracruz and Guerrero, which are both on the eastern side of Mexico. Pardon. They're both on the eastern side of Mexico. The reason why people always think that blacks are United States, well, they're not. Black people of the United States can't really call themselves American, because American's a nationality, not a race. Because we're all immigrants in America, in the United States. Everyone probably comes from Argentina, Spain, France, England. Most people are from England because of their last names. They're all white. And my point being is that when during the Spanish conquistadores, they brought slaves to Mexico. The problem is that they didn't reproduce. They didn't expand. My problem. They didn't expand to Mexico like they did in the United States, because not as many were brought to Mexico as in the United States. Because they were saying that out of every slave ship, 20 people would go to Mexico, and 20 people will go to the United States. I'm not sure where. I think New York, something like that. And four of those people would stay in Mexico because it was like a major port at that time. The problem with them with the blacks of Mexico is that they didn't expand, so you won't see them in the northern side of Mexico like Durango, Monterrey. You won't see them in the central side. You'll see them on the coast, because that's where most black people stayed. For example, Puerto Rico. That's why it's one of the most heavily populated Latin American countries with blacks. Cuba, blacks. Dominican Republic, blacks. They all stayed on the coast. They didn't move. They didn't go north. Then the ones that were brought to the United States, and that's a different story, because they were brought all over. Eventually, with all this, because it's such a big place. Well, they stayed on the coast. For example, Veracruz and Acapulco. They're both coast. About 4 out of 10 people there are black, because I've investigated. And even Jenga was a slave that liberated many. Now, a thing I consider very funny is that the blacks of Mexico had the same civil war. Not even a civil war. It wasn't even a civil war. It was more like an agreement. 20 years before the United States. 20 years before the United States. They also had a black president in Mexico in the 1800s, which means there was really no discrimination. Of course, there's discrimination where you go, for example. Same thing in the United States. In the South, there's a lot of discrimination. West, partially, but not that much. North, definitely not. You're not going to see that much. But yeah, we had a black president. Mexico had a black president. Well, not exactly black, but like, black descent. So yeah, Mexico went through the same cultural changes, racial changes, racism, but not in such a long time, because here you heard about 1960s, it was still civil rights movements. In Mexico, pretty much everything was done in 1900s. Of course, there was a lot of racism, many racism. For example, on the north side, there's a ton of racism. Sometimes in the south, there's a lot of racism because, well, people aren't used to seeing black people, and people don't like change. But yeah, I don't know what else I could say. I guess that's it for today, and well, hopefully I'll subscribe some more videos. Bye.